2024. Furthermore, on that date, a copy of such notice was sent to the Times, the Trentonian, and the clerk of the Township of Hamilton. It was also posted on the bulletin board at the entrance to the boardroom in the Hamilton Square Administrative Building. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I love hearing your voices.
Ms. Atwood, could you take us through roll call?
Yes. Ms. Byrne?
Here.
Mr. Salentano?
Here.
Dr. Farrar?
Here.
Ms. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Kenka?
Here.
Dr. McSheen?
Here.
Ms. Soto? Here. Ms. Stanton?
Ms. Stanton will not be here this evening.
And Ms. Thornton?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. So at this time, I would like to move the agenda around a little bit because we do have some special guests here that we would like to honor this evening. So if I can invite Mr. Buchholz from Alexander School, can you please come up?
Good evening, everyone. Oh, very loud, sorry. Good evening, everyone. Very proud to be here tonight, honored to share and honor and recognize some of our outstanding Alexander students. So we were, as a school community, really excited about this. Before I turn the program over, I just want to mention that at Alexander, we are extremely proud of our PTA. Our PTA creates opportunities for the children that they wouldn't normally have, and it's just amazing the partnership that we have and the amount of volunteers that we have to do the things that we do. So without our outstanding PTA, what we're presenting tonight may not have happened. So I'd like to recognize our PTA for that, and we just had our first meeting last week. I think we had 40 or 50 parents at our first PTA meeting. So it's PTA at Alexander is a big deal. So I want to recognize that. So at this time, I am going to turn the program over to one of our PTA members and volunteers who does a lot of work and is responsible for the Reflections program, and that's Mrs. Valerie Ziener.
Thank you, Mr. Buchholz. Good evening. I am Valerie Zienek. I am a parent at Alexander, and I am also the co-chair of the James W. Alexander PTA Reflections program. I also have a co-chair, Jessica Carabelli, who regrettably could not attend this evening. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Buchholz, Mrs. Carrig, the PTA, one of our committee members, Jesse Oliano, the teachers and staff at Alexander, and of course our wonderful students for making all the things about this program happen. I am proud to share our talented students and highlight their works of art. Briefly, I'd like to share some background on the Reflections program. Students create art around a central theme. Oh, I'm sorry, I will hold just a second so that you guys can see this. Last year, our theme was I am hopeful because. So students created art around that theme and what it meant to them. This year, our theme for this year is accepting imperfection. And this is a national PTA program. And when we have our Reflections program, we are divided into 5 age divisions. At Alexander, that's primary and intermediate, across 6 arts categories. So students can create one piece of art in any of those categories. Everyone submits their piece by a deadline, and as well as an artist statement, which connects the theme to the art that they have created. From there, sorry, font's a little small, entries are blind judged based on a certain number of criteria and by members of the community. And we celebrate everybody at a ceremony that's open to all to attend. I hope that some of you will attend this coming February. And since we are in a school district forum, I thought I would highlight some of the other schools who will be participating in the Reflections program this year. That's per Mercer County Council, County Council of PTAs. In 2 academic years, Alexander has had 12 higher level award winners. And 2 years ago, there was a say-in student who went to national level judging. Okay, this is the best part. This is all our participating students at Alexander. Everybody receives an award of merit. Some students could not be here this evening, so I'm just going to briefly show you the pieces that they made. That is Maxwell Brooks, and he made a sculpture called Getting Better at Speech. Oliver Brooks made a drawing called Lucky Clover. Juliet Bruins took a photograph and titled it, I Am Hopeful Because of Dance. Juliana Carabelli created a piece called A New Day. Lucas Carpena took a photograph and it's called I Take Care of My Dog. Very cute. Madison Grumbaum made a piece called Believe. Maggie Hovmeyer wrote a short story called Designer Disaster. And I would like to note that in certain art divisions at Alexander, some students received an extra award called an Award of Excellence. Leah Hutchins, her creation was called I Am Hopeful Because. So now I'm coming to the students that are here this evening. So first we have Dean Lake, and this is his drawing called Panda Eating Bamboo. Dean, would you like to come up? Next is Layla Lake with her entry called It's Family. Ariana Sabo, who could not be here this evening, her drawing is called We Are Hopeful Because. And then we have Eleanor Zenick, whose creation is called Hope for the Best. Okay, so those were some of our students. Now, the rest of our students, these 5 students received awards of excellence from Alexander at the local level. So that's Maggie and then some of the students who are here this evening. And their awards are as follows. Ella Bruins, her photograph was called I Am Hopeful Because of Fairies, and she won an honorable mention at the Mercer County level. She could not be with us this evening. Next, we have Tess Iacovino. Her photograph, Sunrise in the Smokies, won an award of merit at Mercer County Council and at the New Jersey PTA level. Next, we have Gabby Oliano with her sculpture, Spread Kindness. Gabby's piece, received an award of excellence both at the Mercer County Council and New Jersey PTA levels, and then she received an award of merit from National PTA. Next and last but not least, we have Lila Iacovino. Her drawing, From the Ashes, received an award of excellence from Mercer County Council and New Jersey PTAs, and an award of merit from National PTA. So just a brief footnote on Lila and Gabby's awards. Their national awards represent 2 of 4 awards received by New Jersey students. So 2 of the 4 national awards received by New Jersey students were in Hamilton Township schools and in Alexander Elementary. And only approximately 200 students across the country received such awards. So congratulations to Lila and Gabby, and congratulations to all our students. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So I wanted to thank you all again for being here and sharing all of your wonderful accomplishments with us. We always say that Hamilton's future is so bright, and it's so wonderful to see our students here and all of their talents being recognized. So again, thank you and congratulations. So at this time, I'm actually going to ask if we can have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
Whereas NJSA 10:4-13 requires adoption of the board to go into executive session. Be it resolved that the board pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, New Jersey, Title 18A, and the Hamilton Township Board of Education Bylaw, number 0166, hereby enter executive session to discuss a matter involving labor matters, human resource matters, and matters falling under the attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved that the minutes of this executive session shall be made public following formal action by the board and/or at the conclusion of any investigation, due process proceeding, or litigation, so long as not prohibited by law and so long as the need for maintaining confidentiality no longer exists. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Again, I thank everyone for their patience, and I do apologize for the delay. I am going to move the agenda around just a bit. I would like to start with our announcements, but I would first like to start with bringing forward our student representatives for this year and getting them sworn in. Dr. Rocco?
I would like to welcome our new students, and I'd like, Mr. Carrick is going to come over to the microphone here and ask all three of you to come up to the stand here, and we're going to swear you in. Two?
There's two
Two of
copies
our,
of each.
okay, so two of our students tonight.
There's two copies of each.
I, Gina Dimatel,
solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God.
and in this state under the authority of the people, so help me God.
I state your name,
I, Cameron Dimatel,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by the bylaws of the Board of Education
I possess the qualifications prescribed by the bylaws of the Board of Education
of Hamilton Township
of Hamilton Township
for the office of Student Representative to the Board of Education,
for for
the office of Student Representative to the Board of Education.
I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all of the duties of that office
Perform all of the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according
for
to
the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you and welcome. We look forward to hearing all of the wonderful things that are going on at the schools throughout the year. So again, welcome to the Board of Education. We're happy to have you. So at this time, what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to move the agenda around a little bit, and I'm going to see if our new student representatives have any reports that they would like to give out. So we're going to start first, if we can, with Hamilton East, Steiner, Gino DiNatal.
Hello, everyone. So this month at Steiner, we have a lot of things going on, such as fall sports starting up. We also have our homecoming dance and game this Friday and Saturday. We're playing Notre Dame for our game. We also have peer leadership starting up for the freshmen. We have back to school night tomorrow, which peer leadership will be there, as well as other clubs like SGA, GSI, stuff like that. They'll be in the cafeteria with tables representing their club. We also had a band competition at Bordentown this Saturday. We came in second place. And we also hosted Music in Motion. That was 9/14 as well.
Thank you very much. And now for Hamilton West, Cameron Mooney.
Good evening, Dr. Rocco, fellow board members, and community members of Hamilton Township. Just like Steiner, we have also began with peer and with our musical being announced, which is something rotten. The drama club is very excited about that. Tomorrow, our peer leaders will be getting their schedules, so we are close to starting with that, and I know everyone's excited for that as well. Our homecoming dance is this Friday, and we're also having our homecoming game on Saturday against West Worcester, Plainsboro. And we were also introduced this year to Smart Pass, which is a digital way for students to make passes anytime they need to leave the class. It's different and it's simple to leave the class without disrupting the teacher's lessons. So far, it's been a success, and students and teachers really like it.
Thank you very much. And again, we look forward to working with you throughout the year. You're more than welcome to stay, but I know that school comes first. So if there's homework or anything like that that you guys need to get back to, by all means, you're more than welcome to leave. But again, you're more than welcome to stay as well. So I'm going to move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Cameron. Gino, thank you very much for joining the board. And just a little hint, there's always homework right after your report. I've tried it. They won't let me leave, but for you, you can. Welcome to the board. All right, so school opened up on September 5th, and I'm happy to report that the senior staff and myself have visited all 24 buildings within the first 2 days of school. Wanted to make sure that we visited each school, said hello to the staff, the administration, and most importantly, our students. Very happy to announce, as we announced last year, that we have a dual enrollment with TCNJ for all of our AP classes. Parents who have signed up for the information session and any parent who has an AP student has received emails from Mr. Scotto, and I believe we're up to email number 5 on the registration for AP classes. So why is it so many emails going out? And part of this is because it's the first time TCNJ is doing this, and we are doing this on a grand scale. You're not talking about accepting one class for college credit. We're talking about 26 classes being accepted for college credit. That involves a lot of review. That involves a lot of discussion after we came up with the agreement between us and TCNJ. It also involves the deans of every department signing off on the course equivalencies. And that took a long time, and we finally got that all wrapped up last Friday, most of them except for 2, and then we wrapped up the remaining 2 on Monday. So we are moving forward, and in the process, our students are going to be able to earn college credit in 26 classes. This is a TCNJ transcript. To be very clear, this isn't just they're taking a college class, they get a 3 or higher, the college might take it. This is actually considered a TCNJ class. They will have a transcript from TCNJ and a GPA. So my son is taking a couple of these AP classes, and I told him it would be a good way that if he were to get the honor to go to TCNJ, maybe he could start with a high GPA. We'll see, but he's got to do some work to get there. Very happy to say that we have our new website up and running. I'd like to thank the tech department for that. But also, very excitingly, if you haven't heard this before or you haven't read my community update, we also have a mobile app now. So you can download that mobile app in the Google Store or the Apple App Store, and you can get the website off of the app, and you can get push notification. Saturday is going to be a very special day in the district. As our student reps have talked about, they have homecoming going on, but we also have our first ever First Responders Day at Nottingham football game. Every first responder in town is invited. We ask that if you are a first responder to please be at the field at 11:30, and we are going to recognize all first responders at 12 p.m. We also have a new food service company here, Mascios, and they're doing a wonderful job. They've hit the ground running, and so we ask that families check online for the calendars. I believe they also have an app now, and you can look up what the lunches are. Also, it's very important for our families to understand that every family must complete the meal application this year. It is required by law. Students in the elementary and middle school divisions have received a paper copy. Please fill that out. Those of you who have been around a long time with your children, like I have, Ms. Thornton, I'm going to say you have too. We used to have to fill everything out in paper form and in triplicate sometimes. The only thing you really need to fill out in paper form is the meals application this year. It's also online in myschoolsapp.com, so you can do it there too. And there's an eligibility for free and reduced program has expanded this year, so please make sure you fill out the form. And we had a very successful elementary instrument trial night on September 12th. We thank the staff, the supervisors, the principals, and the parents and students for coming out so that they can explore different musical instruments and hopefully pick one up. I'm happy to report also that the number of students participating in our bands is beginning to expand, and that has been a goal of ours, and we hope that those bands get back to pre-COVID numbers as we go forward. Also, over the summer, we had a number of projects that were done in the district. We continue to include in our budget repairs, upgrades, and enhancements to our schools, and almost every one of our schools received at least some type of upgrade this year. Over the last couple of years, we've had our Special Education Parent Advisory Group, or CPAG. We had a successful year last year with a number of meetings. They've again established their meeting dates, and our first meeting for this school year will be October 2nd at Crockett Middle School, starting at 6 p.m. And the dates for those meetings will be posted online. So we just started the school year, but the district committee for the school calendar for the 25-26 school year met yesterday. It is our hope that we will have a calendar for the 25-26 school year to the board by January of 25. Typically, building a calendar takes a couple of months. I thank the committee members who are a diverse group of stakeholders in our community, from parents and teachers and administrators. I thank them for their time. Board members, they all remain anonymous because it's such a hot topic with the calendar, but I thank them for their time. And I want to remind everybody about school safety. School safety is everybody's responsibility. We continue to reinforce, if you see something, say something. Something seems out of place, something seems suspicious, then say something. Please do not post on social media requesting information or feedback. If it's a concern, say something. If schools are closed, call 911, especially if you think it's an emergency. And let's have a great year, everybody. Our theme this year is Every Day Counts, and let's make sure that every day in our district counts. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Rocco. I'm going to move on to Board of Education. If we have any announcements, I'll actually start. Dr. McSheen?
No.
Ms. Soto?
I just want to share that I did attend Music in Motion on September 14th at Steiner High School. It was a fantastic event. All 3 schools in the district performed at the first competition of the year. It was very well attended. We had 10 total bands in attendance, and I very much look forward to going to Hamilton West's cavalcade of bands on October 12th. So if you were unable to make it to Music in Motion, please consider attending that event. You'll once again see all 3 bands. I would also like to give a shout out to the varsity boys football team who did show up to support their band that day, which was, it was very nice to see them there supporting their team. I'm very happy to hear that the numbers in our music programs are increasing as well.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Dr. Ferrara?
I actually was going to make comments, but since Mr. O'Boyle is going to be presenting on Google Latin America, I'd like to just make my comments after his presentation, if that's okay.
Of course. Ms. Harvey?
Thank you. I attended the Langtree PTA picnic, and there was a good vibe going on at the school. They're excited for the new year. I also attended back to school night at Langtree and at Crockett, and as part of the finance committee, we had reviewed ongoing projects, including the 2 new rooms at Crockett. So I was happy to tour that room and speak to the teachers in that room, or it's actually 2 rooms that were converted from the old shop and technology room to now being classrooms, and they have air conditioning, and they're doing well, and the teachers are very happy with the work that was done. It had been a little behind schedule, but now the students are there and it's going well. So I just wanted to give that little comment. And then for Mashios, if you haven't looked, it's the NutriSlice app. It's actually so convenient to use, so parents should check it out. You can have all of your schools, so if you have 2 different schools, you can go over the menu for breakfast and lunch just on a click of a button, which is way less clicks than it was last year. And just the feedback that I've heard from the students is that the food is really good and they like to buy lunch now. So,
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Mr. Salentano?
No.
Okay. Ms. Fern?
No.
Okay. Mr. Kanka?
Yes, I would like to say I attended 2 back-to-school nights, Yardville Heights and Grice Middle School, and I would like to give a shout-out to the staff from both facilities, and also a really big shout-out to our custodial staff. Those schools, when I went through them, they were immaculate. So I'm really, really proud of what they've done and how they presented the school on those particular evenings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kanka. Okay, so now we're going to move on to awards and presentations. Earlier this evening, we did do a presentation for our PTA Reflections Art Program student award winners from Alexander Elementary School. I have to say it was an honor to have them here to celebrate their accomplishments. Our future is so bright here at Hamilton, and it's wonderful to see
and celebrate all of our students' talents. So again, congratulations to the reflection winners from Alexander Elementary School. I do want to move on now to our Technology Google Latin America presentation.
Might just be easier to see if you guys can't see from over here, or from on their side. All right, first, thank you so much. For those who do not know, we had on September the 10th, representatives from Google and from Latin America come out to our district, to Grice Middle School, to see what it's like learning in America. What's really awesome about this event was Google reached out to us, I think the third week in August, and said, hey, we would like to show some of these representatives what it's like in America. A lot of them have never been here before. They just want to see what a school district is like, and we've worked a lot with Google going back and forth. So we reached out to our superintendent, Mr. Scotto, and said, hey, would you guys be open to us hosting this? And they said, yes, absolutely, let's do it. What we didn't know at the end of August is that what they were inviting was 40 ministers of education from Latin America. So it was their ministries of education, or the equivalent of the Secretary of Education for the United States. So we had representatives from Brazil, Chile, El Salvador, Mexico, Jamaica, a number of different countries, as well as 17 Googlers that came. So we had the head of Latin America, Google for Education, the head of Mexico, Google for Education, and a bunch of other reps from Google. It was an amazing day, an awesome thing, but we had a lot of planning to do in a very short period of time, and they were on a time crunch. What they were doing was hosting a leadership series for these individuals at Google's headquarters in New York. So they arrived a few days before our visit, had an agenda of what they were doing, and then the morning of the 10th, they arrived at our building at Grice after some detours, and they were here from about 7:30 in the morning till 11 in the morning, and then went right back to New York and had a whole agenda. They went to see Lion King. It was an awesome event for them. So our agenda here, when they got here, we had a welcome set up for them. We had a whole presentation set up where we allowed them to ask some of the questions. We initially were thinking, all right, we're going to tell them all about the technology we're using and all the amazing things that were happening. And some of the first questions we got were really interesting. They just didn't understand, how does funding work? How does a school district have leadership? Like, what's the leadership in a school district look like? How do you guys handle changing classes? We keep our students in one spot and the teachers move. So it was a lot of interesting questions that came up. After the introductions and some of the questions, we did live classroom visits. So we had them break out into smaller groups. They got to see our students, see our teachers, talk to them, ask them questions. We had some really awesome interactions with the bilingual students, where they were talking to them in their native languages. We had people speaking Portuguese, we had people speaking Spanish. Obviously, we had English speakers there as well. They brought out translators, which was great. They had 4 Portuguese translators, 4 Spanish translators, and we did our best to accommodate. We set up 3 of these Promethean panels, all with the native languages of the presentations we were doing as well to help out. After those classroom visits, which were amazing, I'm going to say it at the end again, thanking Grice, but thank you so much for Grice Middle School, the teachers, the students, everyone there being so accommodating. We did a student spotlight for some of the students in our district. We reached out to students who are now living in Hamilton, attending our schools, that were from those countries. And it was an amazing interaction between these ministers of education talking to kids from their home country that are now living in Hamilton. And they got to talk to them about what's different about here versus when you were back home in your home country, and what are the changes? What did you like to see? One of my favorite parts of the day was during this student spotlight, there's a high school student, Diego, who is from the same exact city as the Minister of Education for Brazil, and he asked him, and they went back and forth in Portuguese, and they were just talking about the city. It was a really awesome thing to see. We wrapped it up with some more Q&A. They asked us some more questions. It was an awesome thing. So Laura here put together a awesome video for us. We made some changes to it just to get everything all fit into about 2 minutes for you. But before I get to that, I just want to give some shout outs and some thank yous before you see all the awesome things that happened that day. One, to our students from the Student Spotlight. Thank you guys, you were awesome. Grice administration and staff, as I mentioned, I could go down every single one, but there were so many people that made this day happen, so I'm just trying to get everybody broad strokes here. The Steinert musicians who welcomed everybody at the beginning, they're playing. We'll play a short bit of that in the video. Board of Education members and Department of Education representatives that attended the event, thank you guys so much. Our planning committee, the administration and senior staff who helped make this happen, and everybody else who was just there for that day. I had conversations with Dr. Rocco about this before. It was just a career day. It was an awesome thing to see everything happening. So lastly, who I didn't mention on all of this, is our instructional technology team who made so much of this possible. The recognition that we're getting from Google comes a lot from the amazing work that they're doing. So I just want to give a big shout out to my Assistant Director of Technology, Kara, the tech facilitators, Chris, Erica, Sydney, and Kaylee. They were also part of the planning. They did a lot of the walkthroughs with everyone and really helped make this day special. So without further ado, we got a nice little 2-minute video for you just with some of the pictures and things from the event. Thank you guys very much.
So as Mr. O'Boyle said, we talked about this being a career day, and in a career of mine in 31 years, this is in the top 5 of experiences I've ever had in my career. You have to understand that these folks who are ministers of education, the equivalent of our Secretary of Education, coming from all over Latin America to New York City to Google, and they selected Hamilton as the example to come down and see what we're doing. Between New York City and Hamilton, there are dozens of districts they could have picked. They picked us. They picked us because of what this district is doing with educational technology at the forefront, making sure our students have what they need to be successful. Internally, as a community, we can argue and say things aren't going perfectly, but realize other people see the hard work that's happening here. other people see that we are putting our students first, that there are people here that are giving them the skills to be successful down the road. I want to say, Jim, in your department, you do amazing things, absolutely incredible things. And part of the reason, maybe even most of the reason why they came was because of that. In this district, we also have a tradition that we've been doing the last couple of years. We have a difference maker tradition. Anybody that makes a difference for a student, another staff member, a building, our district, gets nominated anonymously for their work. And then they get an envelope. So Jim, I want to invite you up here. Jim, you are making a difference in this district every day. We are proud to work with you. Thank you for working here in Hamilton Township and what you do.
And so I would like to bring you right close to the ground because I too was lucky enough to attend the day, and it was like being in the United Nations. It was a lot of fun. Sydney Matichek of the tech department and I took a group of people around. We stopped first at a math classroom where Jessica Eichhorn was working to kind of connect the students to her math class. What do you think I'm going to be teaching you this year? One of the students has only been in the school, in the country for a year, and so is in that transition period between Spanish and English. And with his computer, he could write the answer in Spanish, and on the smartboard, it came up in English. So he's working in those two languages while he's working in math. Then we went to Joe Hart's class, and Joe Hart teaches social studies. He was connecting his students to history through 9/11. And so we were in there on a Tuesday. On Monday, Mr. Hart had his students listen to videos of people talking about what it was like at 9/11, people who were there on the ground. And then on Tuesday, he was talking to his students and saying, now I want you to find a relative or a friend, and I want you to ask them what they remember about that day. Because you have to think about it, none of these kids were born on 9/11. So one of the students said, well, we didn't live in the United States. And he said, I don't think that's going to make a difference. And so not only are they studying history, but showing how one event can have such a far-reaching impact around the world. Then we went to science class, and anybody who knows Mrs. Golding knows that she loves science. And here, Jim talked about how in the Latin American countries, kids in middle school and high school stay in their classroom and the teachers rotate through. So they were quite taken with the fact that teachers had their own room. And in Mrs. Golding's class, she has a Madagascar hissing cockroach, she has a tree frog, and she has a very large cold water tank because she is part of a program here in New Jersey where her students will be raising trout eggs. And when the eggs hatch and the fish grow, at the end of the year, the state comes in and takes the fish and puts them in the river. So the people we were touring with were quite taken with everything in that room. She was connecting kids to science by having them look at the various areas of science and ask them the question, so what kind of scientist do you think you might like to be? And so students were Googling on their laptops. And then, of course, because Sydney was with me, we had to go to the Gladiator Cafe. And Marissa Nero was kind enough to let us in, and they were really taken aback with that classroom, knowing that it was, self-contained special ed, which they don't have in their countries. And we were fortunate enough that one of the students there communicates through an iPad, and the speech therapist was there. So they learned how we use those boards for communicating. And it, as Jim said, and Dr. Rocco, it was really, really an amazing day, and a lot of questions, a lot of funding. To us, we we look at West Windsor, right, and we go, wow, we wish we could have all the things West Windsor has. They were looking at us and going, wow, they've got printers in their classroom and all the kids have laptops. And so, there's that learning that you do is how fortunate we really are. And we're really fortunate to have a great tech department. And I thank you all for letting me come. It was a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Farrar. So I would also like to say what a wonderful experience, and it was an absolute honor to have been chosen, to have everyone come and visit us. Mr. O'Boyle, I would like to thank you very much, you and your technology team. You are leaders in your field, and we are so fortunate to have you here. So thank you for everything that you do. So at this time, we're going to move on to committee reports. If I can start with Mr. Kanka. Finance and Operation.
Tell her no. Say, I don't want to start first.
I am ready. The Finance and Operations Committee met for their initiatives meeting on September 18th at 8:30 a.m. I would like to thank the committee members who attended and the senior staff that was in attendance for that meeting. We first started out with a communications committee update for the month of September by Dr. Rocco. And he gave his report, which was basically what he said tonight in his report here tonight. Our first initiative item, we had our contract, we had Spiesel here, which is our architect, New Roads, which is our construction consultants, managers, and our representatives from the facilities departments. We did an update on the summer 24 capital projects. We spoke in detail about the ongoing project at McGalliard School with the new boilers going in. We talked about how the staging was going to be with those boilers, such as we have 2 boilers over there, one in operation. The one that was not in operation was completely demolished, and the new boiler was installed. And at the time of this meeting, it was approximately 60% completed. And then once that's completed, up and running, the new the boiler that's been piecemealed together will be shut down, demolished, and the second boiler will be installed at that time. We're looking for a completion date of those boilers prior to the October 15th date where we're required to turn those things on. Then we spoke about the ADA lifts that were on back order throughout the summer for West and North. We had a discussion that those installations will be taking place sometime near the end of October, around the 24th to the 23rd. And we also discussed the replacement of the stage extension at West. Then we moved on to the Crockett rising walls. These are walls where they go throughout the roofing sections where there's, I call them parapet walls, some people call them knee walls, where the walls, the concrete walls are up above the actual roof elevation itself. There was some concerns about the way the membrane was put on those walls. So with our consultants, we discussed that we were going to extend those membranes up to include the whole rising wall itself, and that they will be capped with aluminum capping. And as of the report, the work was complete with the exception of the punch list items of some aluminum capping that was out for, was measured and out for, to be provided to the district as soon as it's manufactured. They did tell us that the new walls were, they went up there and power washed with some higher pressure, water pressure, to make sure that none of the walls leaked down into the facility, and apparently everything was A-okay, and so they're just moving on, waiting to get the capping done. Then we moved on to the other summer project, the Wilson and University Heights HVAC system, the new chillers that were put in. There's still some operational glitches on the thing automatically, so they're being manually run at this time. Our controls contractor, AME, is working on those controls to get those units back into the automatic mode for operation. There was some additional duct cleaning that had to be done at University Heights, and that was all completed. Then we moved on to a discussion of the North Baseball Field. If anybody remembers back, we had some concerns about the way the sod was laid in the left field area of the baseball field, all the way over to the across the third base foul line, and all the way to the fence that is near the parking lot. When they did the new drainage system over there, they opened up that fence and they had to have access to that field with the equipment, and that's why that field was that portion of the field had to be addressed with new sod. But we did walk the field in the springtime, and felt that the way the sod was laid, it was going to be a hindrance to some of the activities that were going to be taking place on that field. So I wanted to, I talked to Scott from New Roads, and we're going to walk the field again, and he's going to address our concerns, and hopefully what we can do is we can get the sod that's down there and the existing turf that was undisturbed, get that cut out and have all new sod from that point on all the way over to the fence, where there's going to be no issues with any elevations in the field itself. Then we had a discussion on the football field at North, and there was some concerns about some repairs that had to be done on the field due to the fact that there was some settling that was taking place on the sideline where the benches are at, on the larger grandstand side of the field. And there had been some settling around the turns on the track on the opposite side of where the scoreboard is, on the Hamilton Avenue side. And I also discussed that there may have been some issues starting on the opposite side of the field near the gate area where people come in. So Scott from New Roads is going to he wants to walk the field, look at our concerns, and hopefully he'll see what we're talking about. And he did make a mention that they've contacted the manufacturer of the turf field, and they're going to visit the site also to find out and to see what we're talking about, and how we can hopefully identify and clear this whole thing up so we can get this field back into tip-top shape. Then we spoke about, we moved into a proposal for bathrooms at Robinson for special ed. And a bathroom it's going to be over the summer project for a self-contained room for the K students. And we had to submit a waiver to the New Jersey Department of Ed for this current year. And it'll be on tonight's agenda for Spiesel to put together that proposal for us. Spiesel's also putting together a proposal for electrical upgrades to Klockner and McGalliard. Because apparently in McGalliard, we have a large breaker panel in there is so outdated. It still has the old screw-in type fuses in it. So this upgrade is going to include taking that panel out and installing a panel that's more up to date. Then we had a discussion on the HEP and Green Acres project that was, or the building over between the township and the district and we voiced our concerns within the committee on how we're going to address these issues that are going to be that have to take place in the near future. And that's going to be an ongoing discussion that's going on with the board and the administration, and I'll keep you updated as we get more information that I can present to the public. There's a Cruiser waiver for a bathroom. It was discussed with Ms. Aldino about it's a bathroom for special ed, the self-contained class. The waiver, what it is the students, the bathroom is not in the room. The students have to walk to the bathroom. And so we have to submit a waiver for that and to address that issue. Then we moved on to transportation, and we discussed the opening of schools. We discussed the upgrading of the new routing system for the busing, and we also reviewed some opening day concerns. And there's some challenges to the new system, but they are being worked out. Then we moved in. We spoke briefly about the food service update, and apparently I went onto the site and it is really easy to navigate. We've had some real positive feedback from the new vendor with a lot of new menu options, and so far everything's been working out okay. I just think that they're going to have to, once they get in the district for a couple, 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, they'll have an idea of what's popular and what is not popular, and so they can adjust their menu options at that time. And I would like to just repeat what Dr. Rocco said. Please fill out those lunch applications for the free and reduced. Like Dr. Rocco said, it's a state mandate, it's law, it has to be done. And so I'm just asking, I do it every single meeting, but for some reason, we still get people that don't fill them out, and I don't know why. You never know if you're going to qualify for any of these programs if you don't fill out the paperwork. And then we also spoke briefly on our a parking agreement at Hamilton Grove next to Bell Avenue. We leased some property over there, and that lease is set to expire in October. It's where we park our buses, and staff parks over there when the buses are out. And we have yet to this date received a proposal from the property owner, so we're just waiting on that. And that really concluded our meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for October the 14th at 9 a.m. And if anybody from the board has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Kenka. Before we go on to questions from the board, Dr. Rocco, can you just state again where parents and guardians can find the free and reduced application online, since it is required to be filled out?
Sure, so you should have received a paper form of it within the first week of school. That should have come home for every middle school and elementary school student, and then it is available on an app, and the app official name is, just give me 1 second so I don't get it wrong, myschoolapps.com. You can go, actually just look that up, and you can fill it out there.
Thank you very much. And if for some reason a parent or guardian did not receive that, do they just reach out to their school to ask them for another paper copy?
Yes, that would be the easiest way to do that.
Thank you very much. So I'll go on to any questions from the board. Mrs. Byrne? Mr. Salentano? Ms. Harvey? Dr. Ferrara? Ms. Soto?
So, not a question, but a comment. In my professional life, I oversee a couple of food pantries, and I was on a cohort call with a number of organizations in New Jersey, one of which was Hunger Free New Jersey, which does a lot of this outreach with school meals. And even though we struggle, we are leaps and bounds ahead of many other districts in New Jersey. So it's just, they just keep reiterating that we just have to keep on it and keep mentioning it and getting into, getting it in front of parents to complete. But we are, in my opinion, doing really well in this area.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Dr. McSheen?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kanka, do you have anything in regards to negotiations?
I would just like to make another comment.
Yes.
If you don't, if you have a difficulty filling out the application or you just forgot it, I just want to let you know that no student will go without a lunch at all, just because if you didn't fill out the paperwork. So I just want to reiterate that, and that's it for facilities.
Do you have anything for negotiations?
Yes. We have, we're in the process of going to set up some more dates with the administrator, or the directors. Been in touch with Dr. Altobello on that, and we're going to be moving forward very shortly on that. As far as the HTEA, we are really, really close. We're like on the tush-push portion of the field right now, if you're an Eagles fan. So the committee's going to meet tonight after this meeting and go over some final details on some language that had to be cleared up, and hopefully we can put this to rest and get this thing moving on, so I can concentrate more on the directors. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Kanka. Dr. Ferrara, can you give us the Curriculum and Instruction Committee report?
I absolutely can, thank you.
Thank you.
CNI committee met last Tuesday, September 17th, and all of us were present. Mr. Scotto updated the committee on the district's dual enrollment opportunities, and I know Dr. Rocco mentioned the College of New Jersey, which is the latest to sign an agreement with us. Mr. Scotto held an information session with students and families in August. Registration for these classes has been extended to October 11th, correct? And this is for all the AP, all 26 AP classes. If a student wishes to get college credit, then they need to enroll, and they pay the college. Is that how they're doing it? Okay. And so just let me run through so that you know what the other dual enrollment programs are. There's one at William Patterson, which offers credits for Spanish classes, Spanish 3 and 4, or AP Spanish. Fairleigh Dickinson gives district students the opportunity to start college business studies. There was an information session on that in September, and students currently enrolled in Intro to Business, International Business and Economics, or Marketing 1 Essentials may elect to participate and earn college level credit through Fairleigh Dickinson. Kean University offers our students in Tomorrow's Teachers classes credit for that class, and Mercer County Community College offers students the opportunity to earn credits for English 101 and 102 They are taught by HTSD teachers, but they can earn credit at Mercer. And I think that's our oldest dual enrollment program, isn't it? In another effort to expand our educational opportunities for students, Mr. Scotto is in conversation with the Carpenters Union. He's working with the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters to review their Career Connections curriculum. Over the summer, the supervisors and the teachers from all 3 high schools examined the curriculum to see how it aligned with our materials processing classes. The next step is going to involve a field trip with Mr. Scotto and the teachers and the supervisor to the training facility and visit some classrooms. This would, if we go into this program, it would allow students to get credit from Thomas Edison State University. Dr. Rocco mentioned that we have lots of kids who want to play instruments, which is great. And the instrumental and music assemblies for students in grades 3 to 5 generated lots of interest. Like 845 students have registered. At Grice, they told me the other day they have 266 students in the band, and they're going to have to perform at Steiner because the stage at Grice isn't big enough. If anyone in the community has band instruments, that's flutes, clarinets, trumpets, that are good condition because we have no money to repair them. But if you'd like to donate instruments, you can reach out to the business office and you can get a letter of recognition for your donation for tax purposes. September's Digital Family Resources newsletters have been posted. They're available in English and Spanish. They were sent home in electronic backpacks, but if you'd like to see them, they're on the CNI webpage under Family Resources. And tonight for motions, the district needs to approve or needs approval on motion number 2 so that PEI, which stands for Prevention Education Incorporated, can present workshops to second grade students about keeping themselves safe. And I will read you what the learning objectives are. The learning objectives of each workshop are the same as always: personal safety, abduction, physical, sexual abuse prevention, plus a second day covering online safety and bullying prevention. These 2 45 to 55-minute sessions provide our second graders with age-appropriate, engaging content that empowers them to stay safe, know their rights, and engage the support of trusted adults. It also includes a parent workshop. So that is motion number 2. The committee had the opportunity to review the updated 6th to 8th grade English language arts curriculum. The Department of Education updated the standards in 2023, resulting in the need to realign the documents. The district is going through CUSAC this year, and so that's an important piece of it. And those are motions, motion number 4. And finally, motion number 6 asks us to approve what's called an Athletic Spectator Code of Conduct. The New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association, or NJSIAA, has recommended that districts around the state put a spectator code of conduct in place. When approved, this guidance will be placed in our student athletic handbooks. The code will also be placed on each school's athletic page, and they will likely be sent home electronically. So again, that's motion number 6. And that's all we discussed.
Thank you, Dr. Farrar. Do I have any questions on the committee report, Dr. McSheen?
Yeah, I do actually have a question on the athletic spectator code conduct. Trying to read out, separate the things I've had for the motion discussion and for this. So for the code of conduct, how, I don't know if you had any discussion on how you enforce this at away games and identify things that are happening in there, as well as perhaps sites that are away from the school, like if a team goes out to a dinner and then are harassed, does that count?
Great question. So starting with how is it enforced? This has always been in the code of conduct. This has always been out there, and some of it is read at games. It's enforced by the athletic director, it's enforced by the building principal, it's enforced by the site supervisors. And depending on the sport, sometimes law enforcement is there, we'll have a police officer or security that's there. If it relates off campus, so if they're having dinner at an event and somebody comes up and harasses them, it doesn't, it's part of competition, or basically before or after the competition is happening.
Great.
Well, and all the schools around the state have been asked to do that, so it will apply at every, even away games at the other school.
That's great. So, if there's an altercation at schools A and B, no matter where they are in the state, both schools or districts A and B will be responsible for enforcing this and making sure that's great. And a related question, this is on athletics, and I know we have policies regarding students who are harassed or bullied off-site at other events, but do we have a similar policy or code of conduct for other student events and student performances or competitive events like marching band competitions, for example?
So the HIB law would apply across the board for all events. I think the reason why this is in particular to athletic events is because of sometimes the heightened atmosphere that happens in those games or in those competitions. However, everybody would fall under our HIB laws across the state. So it does not have to happen in school. It can happen outside of school and impact school for the HIB law to relate.
And isn't there a new hazing law too, Dr. Rocco, the hazing law? No, in addition to that, isn't there another one, Dr. Altobello?
So there's a draft of a hazing law for sports. One of the things I think, Dr. McSheen, to address one of the questions or concerns, there's two things to be cognizant of as well. The district does have a visitor policy, which permits us to come to the board and remove an individual from our sites, not just for one event, but in perpetuity. And the point of the athletic spectator policy is really to ensure that student athletes, as well as are not subject to harassment, intimidation, or bullying of any kind, but also to ensure that there's a safe environment for other patrons at events, so that there's not adult-to-adult issues that take place. It's not just sort of to protect our students, it's to protect our parents, our patrons, and families who go as well. So I think it's important to know that if there was somebody, even at an away game, if we had an individual, that engaged in behavior at Ewing that was concerning enough for Ewing to reach out to us, if it was an adult, we would look at that both now from this policy, but also from our own visitor policy to determine whether or not that individual would be permitted to attend games at our event. And we have multiple times in the past couple of years invoked the visitor policy and removed individuals or banned individuals from school property for events based on their behavior. So you have the NJSIAA is specific for sports, but we're looking at all extracurricular activities as well, right? It's not just athletes that we want to protect. If you're at a band event or if you're at a robotics event, all of those areas where there are spectators, we want to make sure that that everybody who's there as either a patron or as a student is protected. And we have the double layer, not just this, but the visitor policy that we have used previously.
Thank you, Dr. Altobello. Any other questions, Dr. McSheen?
No, just a big fan of putting this out there and just really appreciate that.
So before I go to Ms. Soto, Mr. Salentano, did you have a question in regards to
No,
what Dr. McSheen commented on or something else?
I want to comment on the policy,
Okay.
which is fine with me.
Well, it's not a policy.
Well, whatever action we're taking there. This is already on the books for, basically this addresses sports officials. So having worked 42 years, basketball from the most hostile environments in New Jersey, from Jersey City to South Jersey, we as officials enforce these things. My recommendation here, because I think it may have been lost in the translation over the years, is that before a game, let's say you had a rivalry, okay, and you know there's going to be some pushing and shoving. The athletic directors and/or the site supervisor, which could be one and the same, would let those officials know that they're not going to tolerate anything, do what you have to do, and if people have to be removed, they'll be removed. The only game I was ever embarrassed in my life, my partner official removed a spectator. And it was funny because of the mere fact the spectator got hurt by a youngster diving into the stands, and it was a woman and was one of the coach's wives. She broke her ribs, and an argument ensued where they wanted us to eject, not eject the fan, eject the ball player, but it was just making a routine play. And it always sticks in my craw. And by the way, it was down in Burlington County, which had some of the most competitive sports events in all sports, basketball, football, baseball, and anybody who's ever played or went to a game in Burlington County or played the Burlington County team up here, you knew they were very, very well prepared. I'm not saying they were dirty. They just, I like that type of competition, and I liked officiating that type of competition. But to get back to my point here, these things are already ingrained in any official, baseball, basketball, softball, football, whatever, okay? So that gives us an advantage, okay? What we're doing here is we're ensuring that the community that we live in knows and acts the same. Am I correct on that one?
Correct.
Correct.
I'm done.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Salantano. Ms. Soto?
Nothing for me.
Ms. Harvey?
I just had a question on the AP credits. So, and I think we've said this in the past, if a student wants the credits, they have to pay the fee, but all students are able to take the class even if they don't pay the fee.
Correct, and we pay for the AP exams, and all students have to take the AP exams, yes.
Is there, given if you were attending a college, you'd be able to apply for financial aid, is there any financial aid component, or has there been any issue with parents who can't afford that class who've raised any issues?
Nothing that's come to my attention. I'll ask Mr. Scotto. There is no financial aid.
To date, there has not been any inquiry regarding that. When I've asked about financial aid, because that did come up in our information session, because students had not graduated from high school and had not completed the FAFSA, which is that very lengthy application for financial aid, they would not be eligible. And also, because it's at such a significantly discounted rate, then had you taken the class on campus, that was also something that they shared with us. But that did come up in our information sessions, and we did push that out to parents, sort of in a frequently asked questions memo.
One item to note, though, if you have a 529 for your child, you can use the 529 to pay for the class.
Thank you. Ms. Harvey, any other questions?
I just did want to make one little comment about the music program that you had mentioned. I just want to let the community know that the interest has risen so much that at least at Crockett, they had to add another teacher there just for strings. The teacher had been going back and forth between Reynolds and Crockett, and now they have both schools now have their own. So I think that is a good thing that we've expanded our arts program.
And that's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much, Ms. Harvey. Mr. Salantano, any other comments or questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Byrne? Mr. Kanka? So, Dr. McSheen, would you like to give out the Personnel Committee report, please?
Yes, I would. The Personnel Committee met at 4:15 on Wednesday, September 18th, last week. In attendance were myself, President Thornton and Ms. Soto, as well as senior staff. So we discussed the, so we discussed the Cruiser bathroom facility waiver, as well as had the wonderful preview of the Latin American Google event from Mr. O'Boyle, which I'm still in awe of, and I'm very, very, very sad and jealous I couldn't make it. In addition to that, For personnel, we talked about the Drew University and Hamilton School District partnership for the New Jersey Apprenticeship Program. This is offered through a grant from the New Jersey Department of Education. I think I misstated this wrong at one point. The grant is through New Jersey Department of Education and sponsored by Drew University and Bloomberg, which is, I think, an agency for sourcing talent for educational staff. And the idea is to establish a U.S. Department of Labor approved registered teacher apprenticeship program for educational, and for this purpose, we're doing for educational assistance. So essentially, this is helping to establish an alternative route for people who might want to go into education and education assistant through a different way. So, you know, these people would be having credits in their university and apply for the apprenticeship through this program, which is a great opportunity for our district, right, to help find new talent and help staff our schools. So that item is item number 14 on the Personnel Committee list. Moving on, we were updated about an update to the website. So on the Hamilton School District website, there is now an area in which you can see under the Human Resources tab two spots. One is a checklist on how to become a teacher, and the other is a checklist on how to become a substitute teacher. And it lists the 5 or 6 criteria steps in order to get to the application phase and submit your application to the district. So it's very clean and simple. So I encourage you, if you're interested or know someone who's interested, to look on the website, or of course, stop by one of the many job fairs that I know our district is attending. Additionally, Dr. Copeland walked through the approval process for certified employees who would be hired into the district. So looking at new appointments, as well as promotions to a higher level position, as well as transfers from one building to another, or another position to another position. And then we went through the current vacancies as of that week, and that was it for personnel.
Thank you, Dr. McSheen. Ms. Soto, any questions? Dr. Ferrara?
I just want to clarify on the MOU, you have to have a bachelor's degree in order to apply to that program, do you not? To do the alternative route?
Yes, you have to have.
You have to, yeah. So it's not that you're getting a degree, it's that you have a degree and then you're taking education courses as an apprentice.
Thank you for that correction.
Ms. Harvey? No, thank you. Mr. Salantano?
Yeah, I'm wondering again, I've probably asked this question in a different way on a number of occasions. Is there any interest in your committee finding out what is the root cause of the number of resignations that we have from certified staff? I think I asked that a couple of times, and I'll give you some numbers that I have in my head right now. I'm probably off, but since June of 2021 through this past school year, we've had over 200 resignations. And I always wanted to know, what is the cause of the resignations, okay? Do we have exit interviews? And I think I asked this. Can we have a summary or compilation of some of those reasons? Because maybe we can correct it. I'm looking at the resignations now. They resigned 9/1/24, 10/31/24, 11/13. That's right in the beginning of our school year. So I know that makes it very difficult for personnel and Dr. Copeland to be able to recruit. Whether he's recruiting or we're all recruiting, it's still a difficult situation. So my question really is there any interest in that in your committee? Because I have not gotten an answer for 2 years now.
Yeah, so The answer to your question is yes, we provide two types of exit interviews. One is a digital survey that whenever an employee submits their letter of resignation, they are automatically sent an email, which is a survey, asking them specific questions on why are they leaving. So that's the first source. The second source is we do conduct in-person exit interviews. And I had one today prior to this meeting with an employee that requested to sit and share their experiences in person as to why they decided to leave. I can share with you that the reason that that employee decided to leave was salary. They have a family, and they just decided that an offer came their way, which was of a higher salary based on their experience. So yes, we have the digital survey, and we also do the in-person meetings with individuals, really trying to find out why are they leaving.
Well, what I'm getting at here too, and I appreciate that, and you're right on, but shouldn't the Board of Education have an idea of what some of the problems may be? Because, as you said, salary, I understand that one. Sure. And if salary is the issue, why these people are leaving, then we need to do something.
Sure.
All right, but if we don't know that, then how can we take action?
Sure.
So, and I'll just jump in here because last spring, I think we talked about a similar topic. We talked about doing the stay interviews on top of that. Why are people staying? I also believe a number of times when the question has come up, and it's a very valid question here, I've given some information, or Dr. Copeland has given some information, and oftentimes we've talked about salary being one, travel's been another, health benefits have been another. But at the end of the day, a number of those items, travel, we can't help. So if somebody's traveling, I spoke with an employee today, she lives in Middlesex County. I'm not gonna, just in case somebody knows who the person is, but lives in Middlesex County, has to travel about 45 minutes to work, down Route 1. We know how horrible that is every day. So, but the other items that we're talking about, those are negotiation items. And we've talked at the table, we've talked in committee, we've talked in smaller groups, and we've committed to work through negotiations to address some of those issues. But we can't talk about that in public because we're negotiating right now. And so all that we can say is exactly what Mr. Kankas says when it comes to negotiations. We're on the 1 foot line. And we need to just push our way into the end zone on both sides. But I will say that the negotiations on both sides have been very positive, have been very productive. We ran out of time at the end of the year, and we're wrapping up right now. I'm confident some of the things that we've brought to the table here, spoke about, or in personnel, will be addressed. But I can't go any further to say how they're going to be addressed. But we've done the surveys. We've talked about what the issues are. We've even talked about them in personnel, and we've taken them seriously. We've even heard the public come to the mic and say, you've got to address X and you've got to address Y, and we've talked about that. But you have very valid concerns. Why are people leaving? I think if you were to talk to my colleagues, though, you will hear, or talk to our board attorney who goes to lots of districts, you will hear people are moving around. When I started, or when you started on the board, and I've said this publicly before, so I'm sorry I'm repeating it, but it's worth saying, people started in a district, their goal was to attain tenure and to stay there. And they would get promoted within the district if they so chose to. But many people retired from the district that they started in, right? So it wasn't unusual to see people stay 20, 25, 30 years. That does not exist anymore. People will pick up and leave a year, 2 or 3, and then go on to another district. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. That's the way society is today. That's the way the market is, and people can shop around in a profession where there wasn't shopping around before. So there are reasons, we've explored them, and we're trying to address those through various forms. One of the main forms is negotiation, so.
Well, I think that the reasons, assuming they can be shared, I think the board needs to know that some of those things. Like, I'm going to give you a couple, and I'm just going to use for instance, this is not true. Somebody may want to leave because the ceiling's falling down in their classroom and can't take it anymore. They're the kind of things that bother me, because if those things can be corrected, and if it's salary, I know we're in negotiations right now, but at least if we know that is one of the indices, then that could have been addressed or should have been addressed during negotiations. So, but the thing is, if there's such a thing out there, and there should be, a compilation of what the reasons are, and they are shareable, then they should be shareable, because there's 9 of us here. You know, somebody on this board may have an idea we never heard of before.
So, and I thank you very much, Mr. Salentano. So what we would like to do, moving forward, is I will work with Dr. Rocco and Dr. Copeland, and perhaps we can ask Dr. Copeland for a summary for the board of items that are able to be shared and are not confidential, of like the last 4 to 6 months, up to the last 6 months of, exit interviews and things like that. But we'll work on a timeline, because I'm sure that that's going to take some time for the department to get together, and then we will be able to share that with the board.
Resignations always bothered me, even when I worked in the private sector.
I understand.
Why are you leaving? I mean, if it's over salary, I understand that, because I did that, and I'm sure everybody here may have done that. But it just boggles my mind that, like, we have a good district, why aren't you staying? So is it because somebody said something you didn't like, or whatever? But anyhow, I'll drop it at that.
Nope, and I appreciate you bringing up the question, because it is a very important question, and we'll definitely work on getting that report back to the board, so that everyone will be able to take a look to, see if what we can do to improve, or what we can continue doing that's working.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Byrne? No? Mr. Kanka? Okay. All right, so,
Sorry.
Dr. McSheen.
I almost forgot to give the DCR report.
I was actually just going to ask if you have a DCR report, or if you have a date for a meeting.
I sure do, all that. Great, so I have a report from Cassandra Hodges-Jones, our chair for this year. DCR is excited for the upcoming school year. We attended all of the pop-up schoolhouse events and we're excited to reach more families and community stakeholders. Our first meeting of the school year will be held on Tuesday, October 15th at 5 p.m. at Wilson Elementary in the multipurpose room. Okay, that's Tuesday, October 15th, 5 p.m., Wilson, multipurpose room.
Thank you, Dr. McSheen.
We do have subcommittee chair and co-chair vacancies. If anyone's interested in joining the DCR as general member or as a chair, please email dcr@htsdnj.org. And I will say we have a full subcommittee for recruitment and retention to address items like Mr. Salentano brought up, and we do have the discussion, so hopefully they have some input and insights there.
Wonderful, thank you so much, Dr. McSheen. And will we have that on our website for the next, the date for the DCR meeting, Dr. Rocco?
I think it is on. I think that it's on, they have their own website, so.
Just want to make sure, since we do have a new website, so that everyone knows where to look if they are interested.
Right under community, that's where I was going, yeah, so, yep.
Okay, so under community, you will look, and you'll be able to find a link for the DCR committee.
Yes, all dates are listed there.
Perfect, thank you very much. So we'll move on to the monthly suspension report, the monthly HIB report, the monthly health report. Okay. So now at this time, we'll go on to hearing of the public on agenda items. I do only have one person signed up for agenda items, and then we'll have our second hearing of the public on school-related matters. So if I can have Ms. Peg Kirkup please come up.
Good evening. Originally, I just want to say that we can't hear much of anything that's going on back there. The acoustics in this room and the blower right behind us virtually you're mumbling, and I know you're not, but to us it is. And this is not just me. I think a couple of people left behind. So I don't know whether this is this facility or this room or whatever, but it's been very difficult. Okay, that's not what I called to say, but I came up to say. Looking at the report, and I went through a couple things. The one that I am most concerned about is the monthly HIB report again. I went through the agenda last night, and I went to HIB report to see what it said, and there was nothing there. Now, I'm hoping that's because the school's only been in session for a couple weeks, but I'm going to go back to what I said, I think last month or the month before. I think that we need to have this report given to us on a monthly basis. I went and looked at the state regs, and it's under public reporting, which is section Q. The number of reports of HIB, the status of all investigations, the nature of the HIB based on one of the protected categories identified in NJSA 18A 37.14. The names of the investigators, the type and nature of any discipline imposed on any student engaged in HIB, and any other measures imposed. Training conducted or programs implemented to reduce HIB. The report also must include data for each school in the district, in addition to district-wide data. And then the report says it could include anything else. So this is what I've been asking for, and this is what I have heard even a principal, or not a principal, a PTA member who was here last month, I'm sorry, at the meeting after we had all the diagrams and all the numbers said, though she really thought that it's underreported, to say nicely. So I'm really going to push because I think people are interested in this. We hear rumors, this school's not doing good, this school's got a lot more going on. We're entitled to it. We pay taxes here. Now, I know that the common thing is like, oh, well, confidentiality. Well, you know, confidentiality goes so far. If you're not reporting the name of the student, obviously that's fine. But it says right here in these regs that the public is entitled to know certain things that are going on, at least in general in the nature. And I think that that's very important. And I think that most parents and taxpayers accordingly would like that. And the other one, the one that Mr. Salentano brought up about teachers leaving, one thing I've heard too, I talk to teachers and students and parents, is that some of the schools do not provide the teachers with support. If there's a problem, they don't stand behind them. Whether it's the principal who is kind of a bully, whether it's somebody else who's not listening to them, whatever, but teachers are fed up. Obviously, that's not the whole problem. Salary's obviously the important one. But there are other issues besides salary. And some of them, and it may be school specific to the principals involved. Thank you.
So Ms. Kirkup was the only one that was signed up. Before we move on to our agenda items, I just want to make a comment in regards, and I know that it's been asked here several times in regards to HIB violations and HIB reports. We as a board are required, I believe by law, to file twice a year, 2 reports a year, which does contain a lot of the information that you had stated. It is one of our biggest responsibilities here as board members to always maintain confidentiality. If anything has anything to do with a student, we are and must always abide by confidentiality, and we cannot release information. There are times that we as board members do not have that information. So I have to just please remind everyone, when it comes to HIB and any items that have to do with students, we have to keep confidentiality and we cannot provide that information. Just wanted to make that statement.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move.
I have a question on that. Can I ask a question on this? What does the bracketed numbers mean? Are they student ID numbers?
Yes.
Well, what's weird about this is one's a Crockett, one's a Grice, and they're only one number apart. So I don't know, is that assigned alpha?
Those are report numbers.
Oh, report numbers?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to move on to our agenda. I'll start with curriculum and instruction. Dr. Ferrara, can you take us through curriculum instruction motions?
Indeed. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, I move items 1 through 8.
Second.
Before we take the vote, Ms. Thornton, I'd like to thank people for gift donations, because we had quite a few this month. The Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo brought us backpacks and grade level kits. Princeton Day School donated student desks, chairs, tables, and wobble tables. Wilson Elementary School received backpacks from the Pioneer Project. And Hamilton High School North, through Donors Choose, has socks, pants, and underwear. And that might seem like an unusual request, but we have a lot of students that have to walk to school. If you're in high school and you live more than 2.5 miles away, you can take a bus, otherwise you walk. And the nurses often has kids with wet feet. So she put up a Donors Choose project to get those kinds of items. So we thank everybody who supports Donors Choose, and we thank the community for their gifts.
Thank you, Dr. Farrar. Dr. McSheen, do you have any questions in regards to curriculum instruction?
Yes, I did have one, and it was for the Child Safety Matters program, the item number 2. It listed in the description for us, there's the mention of a parent workshop, and I was just wondering if that's an in-person thing, if it's after school, if it's during the day, just any information that.
That would be Ms. Ferlato.
It will be virtual. It will also be recorded so it can be posted on school websites.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Dr. McSheen?
Nope, I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Soto?
Questions?
Dr. Ferrara?
I can't question myself.
You got any questions in regards to the agenda? Ms. Harvey? No, thank you. Mr. Celentano?
No.
Ms. Byrne? Mr. Kanka?
Yeah, I would just like to follow up on Dr. McSheen. That virtual workshop for the parents, is that before the program's presented to the students or after? So if the parent wants their student to opt out of that, they can do that?
Yes, they'll get information regarding the program and the parent portion of it prior to them going into the schools. They also get a release form to opt out if they wish to.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Mr. Kanka?
That's it.
I did want to comment, I clicked on the website, and it also says that the materials available in English, Spanish, Portuguese, Haitian Creole, Chinese, French, and German, which is pretty cool.
Thank you, Dr. McSheen. Seeing that there are no other questions, Ms. Atwood, can you take us through roll call? Ms. Byrne?
Abstain, motion number 5, yes to the rest.
Mr. Salentano?
Yes.
Dr. Farrar?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Kanka?
Yes.
Dr. McSheen?
Yes.
Ms. Soto?
Yes.
Ms. Thornton?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Mr. Kanka, can you take us through finance and operation?
Yes. Yes. Before I move our motions for finance and operations, I would like to table motion 13.
Second.
May I?
All right, I'll move the motions 1 through 14.
Just 13.
I'll move motions 13.
Okay.
I would like to
Can I have a
table that
second?
motion.
We need a second.
Second.
Am I done?
Things have gone off a little rails here a little bit. All right, so motion 13 is now moved.
We need a motion to table it or to postpone indefinitely.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Second.
Third.
So let's have a motion on, let's have a vote on the motion to postpone indefinitely.
Ms. Atwood?
Ms. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Salantano?
Oh, he stepped away.
Dr. Farrar?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Kanka?
Yes.
Dr. McSheen?
Yes.
Ms. Soto?
Yes.
Ms. Thornton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Kanka, can you take us through the other finance and operation motions?
As soon as I get back on the rails,
Thank you.
I'll do that. As per recommendations of the superintendent, I move finance and operation motion 1 through 12 and 14.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so do I have any questions on finance and operation motions? Mr. Kanka?
No.
No. Mrs. Byrne? Ms. Harvey? No. Dr. Ferrara?
No, thank you.
Ms. Soto?
No.
Dr. McSheen?
No. Thank
Okay,
you.
seeing that there are no questions on finance and operation motions, Ms. Atwood, can you take us through roll call?
Yes. Ms. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Salantano?
Yes.
Dr. Farrar?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Kanka?
Yes.
Dr. McSheen?
Yes.
Ms. Soto?
Yes.
Ms. Thornton?
Yes.
Motion's pass.
Dr. McSheen, can you take us through personnel items?
I'm going to do my best here, all right? On the recommendation of the superintendent, I move items 1 through 14, personnel.
Second.
Dr. McSheen, do we have any questions in regard to personnel items?
No.
Ms. Soto?
No.
Dr. Ferrara?
No, thank you.
Ms. Harvey?
No, thank you.
Mr. Salantano?
I asked one before, no.
Mrs. Byrne?
No, thank you.
Mr. Kanka?
No.
Okay, so I would like to, we do have a few retirements this evening, and I would like to recognize those individuals. So we have a teacher of middle school STEAM at Grice Middle School, 25 years in Hamilton, Kelly Cloward. An educational assistant, Hamilton High School West, 9 years in Hamilton, Marjorie Ryder. And a librarian at Cooser Elementary and Kistart Elementary, 19 years in Hamilton, Teresa Zaliga. I'd like to thank you so much for everything that you have done for Hamilton and for your dedication to our district, and we wish you all the best in your retirement. Okay. Seeing that there are no other questions, if Ms. Atwood, can you take us through roll call?
Ms. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Salantano?
Yes.
Dr. Farrar?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes to all except for I'd like to abstain on item 2B5.
Mr. Kanka?
Yes.
Dr. McSheen?
Yes.
Ms. Soto?
Yes.
Ms. Thornton?
Yes.
Motion's pass.
Dr. Rocco?
Yeah, in this personnel motion set of items, we had promotions. So we had Caitlin Fleming, who went from an assistant to a special education teacher, and I think that's a wonderful promotion, going from a classroom assistant to a teacher. And also, we have a promotion of Jack Gonzalez, and Jack is here tonight. Jack was the head custodian at Crockett Middle School and is now the assistant operations supervisor. If you've ever been to Crockett, you have seen Jack. He is hardworking. He's always there, makes the place look great. We look forward to having you in the new position. Welcome aboard.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I also wanted to address when we're in the personnel item, Mr. Mark Laurenti passed away about 2 weeks ago or so. If you've ever been around West when he was there, he's a big personality. He was a great guy. He did so much for our kids. He ran job fairs. He would leave work at West and go work somewhere else. Mark always had a smile on his face. When I went to his viewing, I didn't know he was a runner. He ran marathons and did all kinds of other things. Mark's wife works for us too. And I just want to say that we will miss Mark, and we appreciate everything he ever did for our students and for our school. So if you wouldn't mind just joining me for a moment of silence for Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rocco. So at this time, we're going to move to other business. So I'll open it up to the board. If there's any other business that you would like to bring up or discuss, Dr. McSheen?
I just want to note that we have a meeting before this, but October 21st through 24th, I believe, is New Jersey School Board's workshop. I'll be in attendance, but if anyone else has any questions or wants me to go to a certain session, just let me know. Happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McSheen. Ms. Soto? No comments. Dr. Ferrara?
So I gotta let you know that I kind of spoke for the board the other day. So it's about Komodo dragons. They're found in Indonesia. Males can grow to 9.8 feet and weigh up to 330 pounds. Scientists used to believe that the Komodo dragon saliva contained like highly septic bacteria, which weaken their prey, but in 2013, they discovered that the bite of the Komodo dragon contains neurotoxin venom and anticoagulant saliva, so the prey essentially gets paralyzed and bleeds to death. And just recently, there was a new study that revealed that Komodo dragons have orange iron-enriched coatings on their teeth. So I sent the story to Mrs. Golding at Grice, because she loves these kind of stories, and she wrote back and said, I wonder if you could tame one from a baby. That would make one great guard dog. Deep down, I think they're cute. And then she wrote me another note and said, I just found this How to Tame a Komodo Dragon article and video. And this is where I said no. She said, do you think the board would approve one as a class pet? Yeah. And I told her no, because it was highly unlikely that Ms. Atwood could find liability insurance. But I just wanted you to know that I spoke for the board, so.
You do know they are good barbecued.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, if we need a new mascot too, let's keep it on the table.
Well, thank you very much for that, Dr. Ferrara. I was kind of wondering where you were going with that, but thank you very much. Yeah. Wes was like, okay. Ms. Harvey?
No, thank you.
Mr. Salantano?
No, ma'am.
Mrs. Byrne? No. Mr. Kanka?
Nothing.
Okay, so we'll move on to hearing of the public on school-related matters. Do I have anyone signed up for the second session? Okay. Just the one? Perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so Ms. Peg Kirkif, you're signed up for public hearing on school-related matters.
Long time no see. Hi. Okay, a couple of things on school-related matters. One is about books. I'm not going to go down the same old thing with books, but during that report where you're decommissioning books, I went through and I found some numbers about textbooks that have been decommissioned. Now, obviously, they get old, whatever, they get old. But what I found amazing to me was that over 1,700 new textbooks were decommissioned on, this I think was the 21st of February of this year. 1,734 textbooks published in 2018 were decommissioned. Now, and that's not to mention the 3,475 books decommissioned that were published in 2011. Now, I know textbooks are not inexpensive, as we all do, but it seems like a lot of money was wasted on these books. So I don't know where the problem is, whether it's ordering, and some of these, quite frankly, it was middle school, 288 books on the diversity of things decommissioned, 436 books at Crockett, Earth and Human Activity, Student Edition, decommissioned. And this is just right from your report that was given. So an explanation would be interesting, whether this was an ordering issue or they changed the curriculum or the agenda, but it's a lot of money. And I think that we should all be concerned, and we should all tend to be a little bit more watchful. Or an explanation is, why were these books not used? Okay, and the other thing I have to say is that we, briefly, is that at the school board meet and greet a couple weeks ago, there was one thing that came out at the last, and a little confused about, but definition of the kind of courses that are offered in the schools. From what I gather, it's AP, and then there's college prep and honors. And the definition of honors, which seems to be, I guess, be the least, I don't know. Honors courses generally refer to exclusive higher level, okay, I can't read, anyway. Students who excel in certain subject. Honors classes are usually reserved for taking talented high school students who excel in certain subjects. So my question is that these seem to be college prep courses generally. I know there's a little distinction between them. But then there was this discussion about B-level courses at this meet and greet. And B-level courses seem to be like appealing to maybe the regular student. And they said there are none. So maybe that's should be looked into, and I know this is a curriculum thing, but, we seem to have low scores, and maybe that's part of the reason why we're leaving some of these kids
So
behind.
Ms. Kirkup, thank you very much. So normally we wouldn't respond, but you had some very important questions, and I am going to ask Dr. Rocco to answer those questions for you, okay?
Yeah, I just want to make sure you can hear. Can you hear? Yeah, I don't want to, I just want to make sure you can hear. So you bring up a couple of important items, and we don't typically talk in the public sessions and announce things, but I also don't want things to get outside of rumor mill and misconceptions and inaccurate information here. So let's start with the decommissioning of books. There are a number of reasons why we decommission books. Number one is the series is no longer in print, so you can no longer get any more books. Number two would be that the books are old or worn out and they need to be replaced. Number three would be that we have new curriculum, or we have new programs, or we have new classes, and we need new resources and new materials. Those are the basic reasons why we get new books and we replace them. Our students use our books, and when they're in paper form, they get worn out pretty easily. So that's why we do that. So they're not sitting there in a box and we decide we're not going to use them and then we throw them out. They've run their course, or the state has said there are new standards where you need to bring new resources in. So it's a good question. What are we doing? Are we being good stewards of our money and our books? The answer is yes. The other thing is with AP honors and CP. So college prep is the level the majority of our students take. If you want an enriched level, you go to honors. If you want a college experience, you go to AP. We've had B. Years ago, we've had C in this district. That's not right. Our students deserve high-level instruction. Every one of our kids deserves to go into a class that challenges them. If they need additional support, we provide them support, whether that's tutoring, or if a student has a special need, we get an IEP if they qualify. But many, many districts, the first district I taught in back in 1994, probably around 1996, they got rid of their B level. This removal of the B level has been a phase-in that we've done over the last couple of years. I've put it out in my community update, and I joke publicly that people don't read the community update that I put out. But it's there, and we talk about it. We phased this in, and we were looking to phase this in over a period of time. In reality, our high school administrative staff said, let's go. Let's move forward, and let's do this now. Why? Because it's right for kids. So that's the reason why. I mean, in the detail, I say these are our levels, this is what we're teaching, this is why we're teaching it. But ultimately, we're never going to teach down to a kid moving forward in this district. From now on, we're making sure that we're teaching what students need. And the best way to do that is make sure that we don't keep separating out the instruction. It's very important for us to understand that. Every kid deserves an awesome education. And importantly, that education needs to lead to their success outside of Hamilton Township schools. So that's why we do what we do.
Thank you, Dr. Rocco. So at this time, I am going to ask the board to make a motion to go into a second executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Other business?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
No other business?
Whereas NJSA 10:4-13 requires adoption of the board to go into executive session, be it resolved that the board pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, New Jersey, Title 18A, and the Hamilton Township Board of Education Bylaw Number 0166, hereby enter executive session to discuss a matter involving labor matters and matters involving the purchase, lease, or acquisition of real property. Be it further resolved that the minutes of this executive session shall be made public following formal action by the board and/or at the conclusion of any investigation, due process proceeding, or litigation, so long as not prohibited by law and so long as the need for maintaining confidentiality no longer exists. So when we do come out, we won't be taking any action, so we'll be adjourning when we do come out, but I just wanted to make a notation. We are not taking action when we come back outside.